Continuing on in the Best Life Possible devotional series, today is titled The Gift of Living in the Present Moment. Our verse is out of Matthew chapter 6, where Jesus said, "Don't be anxious about tomorrow, for tomorrow brings its own anxieties." So here in America, we have life great, right? I mean, compared to the rest of the world, even the poorest Americans are wealthy compared to the billions that live in poverty. And there's nothing that we seem to lack or can't obtain. We have cars, homes, video games, satellite television. We go on vacations to the beach. And our children, they don't want for anything as well. I mean, we fill their time up with dance classes and soccer practice and Little League. And we schedule every moment that we have in order to fit it all into our lives. And don't get me wrong, I'm not against the technology or having something in our lives or cheerleading or any of the rest of that. But there is something that I think we need to consider. And that's this: that life is a precious gift given to us by God, but it's fit in this really small window called time. Yet we treat time like it's endless. And we treat the gift of our life like it's a box of toys to be filled up. And sometimes we don't realize that the things we own end up owning us. They own our time and they own our lives. And we've built our lives around them. And we fail to recognize that we have this vacuum in our life, and it's a vacuum meant to be filled by God, not by possessions. So why am I saying all this? And what's the proper way to deal with? What's the best life possible God wants you to have? Well, consider this. The Apostle Paul said, and I believe it was in Ephesians, said that we need to redeem the time. Now what that means literally in Hebrew, for example, would be that it would mean quipping a slave to time, bring it back around to its rightful place. So that begs the question, what did Paul mean by what's the rightful place for time in our life? Well, when we consider what Jesus has said in our verse about not being anxious about tomorrow, and we consider that he said other things like, don't give any thought to what you're going to eat or drink or what you're going to wear, that God's going to take care of these things. If he can clothe the lilies of the field and he can feed the birds and considers them, he's certainly going to consider you. But when it comes to time, I believe there's something really important that we need to understand, and that's this: that he's given us a gift of living in the present moment. Living in the present moment. All his words that he's just said, and all that Paul has said about not being a slave to time, but putting it in its rightful place, means that we need to keep our focus not on so much in the future. Not that it's not right to plan or things of that nature, but we can't be swallowed up by possessions and the time it takes to obtain those possessions and fill our life with all those things. And one of the ways we can do that, the rightful place of time, is living in the present moment. That's really the only moment we can live in. Any other way, we find ourselves with lack of sleep and anxieties and health issues and fretting and fear, all these things that come from considering too far out in the future. And this present moment is so intimately connected with God. He designed us actually to live this way. Can't change what's gone in the past. Don't know what's happening yet in the future. So we need to live now in the present time. And it is a gift of God. It's a place where you can begin to really focus better when you're only living in the present moment and deepening your relationship with God. So consider that part of the best life possible is learning to live in the present moment.